is Reema, and I am an author and a motivational speaker, and I have 3 things to share with you. First, I'm going to show you how each one of you is a powerful writer. The next thing, I'm going to show you how our lives, each one, is like a story, and that we are the main characters and the authors of this story. And then 3, I'm going to share with you my superpower. And I'm going to not only share it with you, I'm going to teach it to you. Before we continue, if you could write down in your notebooks, just answer this question. If you had a superpower, what would it be? Okay, so a little bit more about me. I was born in Bangladesh, and then when I was 2 years old, we moved to Hawaii. And then when I was 6 years old, we moved to Thailand. So I moved around a lot. And I grew up in Thailand. I went to elementary school and middle school and high school there. And then when I was 18, I moved to the United States all by myself. My family was still living in Thailand. And I had pimples and frizzy hair and really thick glasses. And I was chubby, and I was the only kid from Bangladesh, and I didn't know anybody there, and I didn't have any friends. And I used to get picked on. You know, there were a few bullies, and they used to really like to call me out on the things that made me different. Maybe you know that feeling when somebody takes something that is unique to you, but then they twist it and they try to make you feel bad about something that's unique to you. And so I would find this really confusing and mean. I thought it was unnecessary. So I didn't have many friends. But I did have one thing. I had reading. My books became my friends. And then I started writing my own little books. The 3 big magical things that I learned when I started writing my own books was I could put down all of my thoughts and emotions that I didn't have any friends in the real world to tell them to, so I could put them all onto the page. And it was incredible because during the day I had no one to talk to, but I put them down on the page, and it was like all of the loneliness I felt and the sadness or the anger, it just melted away because I felt like somebody was listening to me. And then the next thing I learned as I wrote was that, you know, life, the lives we are all living, that's like a story. You're a book, and you're a book, and you're a book, and you're a book, and I'm a book, and we're each stories being made as we go. Every day is a new page. Every month or year can be a new chapter, and we're building this as we go. So when I'm making these books, I'm the author, but in my own life, I'm the author of my life and the main character of my story. And that's when the 3rd light bulb went off. And I realized, hold on. This means if I am the author of my living story, I get to decide how big of a character everyone else in my world gets to be. Well, I really love my mother, so she gets to be a really big character in my book. But the bullies in my world, guess what? Since I'm the author of my life, I can choose that they're going to be teeny tiny characters and that they don't get to live in the pages of my book that much. Does that make sense? So now, in your notebooks, do for me another favor. Write down something that has made you sad or something that you're afraid of. And just like 1 or 2 sentences. And so the next thing I'm going to tell you, remember how I said I have a superpower? As I was writing more fiction stories, I realized this is the power of bringing something into existence. Every time you make a new character, you have the superpower of invention, because that's what we're doing, right? We're inventing whole new people who didn't exist before our imaginations brought them about. into these characters, I poured into them all the best characteristics that I thought human beings could have, like kindness and humor and compassion and courage. And I realized, if I can put them into my characters, could I maybe put those characteristics into my own self? Because remember, if you and I, we are the authors of our lives, maybe we're also the authors of our personalities. Why not? Could we use the power of invention to practice characteristics that we find to be admirable or amazing? Why not? Exactly. And so I made a list of what I feel are the most dazzling characteristics. And I thought brilliance and courage and compassion. And I thought, what would that kind of person, what would be a sentence for that person? And I thought, well, the sentence would be, I am extraordinary. And so I wrote the sentence, I am extraordinary. And I felt really silly in the beginning because I didn't believe that sentence at all. But I wrote it down on a little piece of paper and I tore it out and I stuck it on my bathroom mirror. And I would look at it when I was brushing my teeth in the morning. And then I would go to school and the bullies would call me all sorts of things. And I would just think, well, I am extraordinary. And the more I looked at the sentence, I thought about the sentence. And the more I thought about the words, I am extraordinary, I started to believe those words. If you can write it, you can think it. If you can think it, you can believe it. And if you can believe it, you might just become it. And that is my superpower. And I think it's a superpower any one of us can have. Now, on your piece of paper, write down one last thing. If you could invent something into existence, what would you invent? For yourself, or the world, or someone you love? Would anybody like to read their 3 sentences? Yeah.
My superpower would be invisibility. I fear that I would get bullied about something that I like about myself, and then I just won't like it anymore, and I'll never ever do it again. And then my dream is to become an architect and design houses for people that are living on the streets or don't have one.
So her superpower she would choose is invisibility. And her fear is that somebody were to bully her about a personality trait or something that you do, and that they would bully you so much that you would stop doing it and you would hide it and make it invisible. So that's interesting. Do you see the connection there? It's like sometimes our greatest wish is also our greatest fear, and it can work in both ways because it can be real in both ways, and that's called the paradox. But it's also a harmony in the soul. So it's all connected, and this is the song of her heart. You are the main character and author, and you have the power to choose what lives on the pages of your story. You have the power to choose who is allowed into the beautiful library that is your heart. You have so much inside of you, and it's already so extraordinary. And I'm excited for what you're going to bring into existence. Thank you so much for letting me talk to you today.